Go, technologie sami vynikají autorům modely nebo i země, heaven and earth.
fathers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a great pleasure to the Nottingham branch of the Association of Ukrainians to welcome so many guests from all over the country. Please accept our gratitude for coming here in order to support the conference on the 1000th years of Christianity in Ukraine. I particularly wish to say thank you to the Lord Mayor and Lady Mayors for opening this conference. I hope you will allow me, on behalf of all of you, to express our gratitude to Reverend Michael Bodu, Miss Jan Ellis, and Ronald Bryan for their effort in this conference. I am sure they had to spend a lot of time to prepare their excellent papers which they read today. I also wish to say thank you to Canon Michael Jackson, Mrs. Dorothy Ragan, and all other people from the Keston College and Nottinghamshire Support Group for organizing this conference. I remember as far back as 9 or 10 years ago when representatives of the Central Committee of the Association of Ukrainians visited Keston College. Reverend Michael Bodu said then that he hoped to organize a conference on the subject of the persecution of Ukrainian church in the USSR. Unfortunately, due to some difficulties, it didn't materialize at that time, but we are all very happy that it has taken place today. 1988 marked the 1000th years of Christianity in Ukraine, but Christianity didn't come to Ukraine so suddenly, just in 1 year. There were some Christians in Ukraine long before 1988, and when Ukraine became Christian, it took some decades or even centuries before all people were Christianized. Before accepting Christianity, Ukrainian people had their own religious beliefs and rituals, their customs, culture, and traditions. Each season had its own festival, some accompanied by singing and dancing. It was quite natural that early Christianized Ukrainians didn't want to discard their ancient traditions and religious ceremonies, which they learned from their ancestors. Because of this, some of the pre-Christian traditions and religious festivals were fitted amply into the new Christian ideology, producing a rich blend of ancient and Christian elements. This is particularly true to Eastern custom, when Ukrainian ancestors in the distant past celebrated the glorious occasion of spring festivals, with songs and dances called AUGB. When Ukrainian people lived through the turmoil of difficult times and persecution, these Christian customs and traditions peculiar to the Ukrainian people became the sort of national identity. They became part of everyday life and have helped the Ukrainian people to survive as a nation. This was the reason why our enemies in the past and present tried first of all to destroy the Ukrainian church with its Christian customs and traditions. They hoped that if they destroyed the church, they would succeed in destroying the nation itself. Not only the church as institution, which they regarded as dangerous, but the church buildings as well. When Stalin's deputy Pavel Postishul sold St. Nicholas Cathedral in Kiev, which was built by Hetman Ivan Mazepa some 200 years before that time, he said that that historical rubbish has to be demolished immediately, because it fits the roots of the Ukrainian bourgeoisie nationalism. The church was demolished in 1934. So one by one, thousands of holy places and buildings of historical value were destroyed. Others were closed or turned into different use, some into anti-religious museums like St. Sophia, for example. all bishops, thousands of clergy, and hundreds of thousands or perhaps millions of believers were physically liquidated. By 1939, only one small church remained open in Kiev. This one was for the sake of foreign correspondence. But in spite of all this persecution, the church in Ukraine survived. It not only survived, it grew and is growing from strength to strength. I am sure the people of Ukraine, as well as in the other countries behind the so-called Iron Curtain, are very grateful to Keston College for the support, publicity, and all encouragement Keston College has given to the believers persecuted for their belief. I remember reading the story in The Right to Believe some years ago about the letter which Reverend Bordeaux received from the two women in the USSR, in which they described the persecution of religion in Western Ukraine. This was 25 years ago. It was a year later when Reverend Michael Bordeaux, as he put it, with the direction of God, he met these two women in Moscow by chance. Those two old ladies who traveled 700 miles to Moscow in order to meet someone from the West asked Reverend Michael Bordeaux to be their voice. To be their voice and tell the people of revolt exactly what's happening to their church. They asked him to be their voice. And that is exactly what has happened. Reverend Michael Bordeaux became the voice not only of those two mothers from the Western Ukraine. He became the voice for millions of persecuted believers and of different denominations and religion. Thanks to the Keston College, the people of the world know about the persecution of believers in the Eastern Europe and other communist countries. The church is still suffering, but it will triumph as it did 1,000 years ago. Thank you once again for organizing and supporting this conference. And taking this opportunity, I hope you will allow me, on behalf of all of you, to express our gratitude to all our artists, and especially their leaders, for the wonderful evening they provided for us. Thank you for your support and contribution. And now I understand Michael, Reverend Bordeaux, would like to say a few words, if he is.
Dear friends, as those of you who heard me this morning will probably realize, I'm not usually speechless, but this, I think, is one of those rare occasions. I have been delighted beyond words, amazed to witness the quality of the talent here on display this evening. My first question when I saw the pageant unrolling in front of my eyes was, when do you open in the West End? I think we've got bigger stages down in the South, but there's nothing, I assure you, that can match what we've seen this evening. And then to my delight and joy, yes, the words are coming back, I heard that there actually is going to be an opening in the West End. On the 29th of May, there will be a performance by the same troupe in no less a magnificent venue than the Albert Hall itself. And as one of those coincidences, which, as we heard someone say this morning, are more than coincidences, certainly the divine ordinance of God, 29th of May also happens to be the day in the year which has been called by Keston College, calling upon the churches in Britain, Suffering Church Sunday. And many, many churches of all denominations on that day will be joining together in various acts of worship through the country to mark as a mark of respect and admiration for the suffering church. Now that we know about the evening's event, or is it afternoon, I'm not quite sure, in the Albert Hall, we shall, of course, at Keston College, publicise that for those of our constituency that live in London as something they themselves can do additionally to mark what should be an outstanding day. During the course of this day conference, links which already firmly existed between us in the south and you dear friends in the Midlands have been revitalised and strengthened. There is not one of us who come up from today, our little team from Keston College, who has not been thrilled and excited both by the concert itself, which I mentioned, and by the whole organisation of the day. So many people, such enthusiasm, such a worthwhile event in all senses of the word. It struck me while I was watching this tonight that if this can be done in Nottingham, just think of what can be done in Ukraine itself, even after all those years of Soviet communism. Just think of what an outburst of joy there is going to be one day when Ukrainians regain their independence and all the folk traditions, so many of which have been subsumed illegitimately into Soviet culture, are able to break out again and play their full part in identifying the culture and traditions of the Ukrainian people. But most of all, I think, that role will devolve upon the church. But if I continue that thought, I shall be repeating my lecture this morning, which I do not intend to do. So let me close by saying that I myself have been proud and touched to be associated with such a day and with such an occasion. We at the college dedicate ourselves anew, as we must be inspired anew from this evening, to work even harder on behalf of the Ukrainian people as on behalf of all persecuted people in the Soviet bloc. We shall continue that work, and with the new building which opened, or at least we moved into it during the course of this past week, with that as our focus, we shall be able to work, I hope and pray, even more efficiently than we have done in the past. And by the way, on the 2nd of May, we invite any of you who can come, all of you, if you can come. We haven't got a hall this size, but most of it's going to be an out-of-doors event. Invite you to the opening of the new block of Keston College, the official opening. We shall be in it and working in it before that, obviously, but the official opening is on the Monday bank holiday, the Workers of the World Unite Day, that Soviet bank holiday, May Day. And we are going to celebrate it by opening the building in Keston College to show where our hearts and sympathies lie in favour of the persecuted church. May I finally conclude by thanking every single person who has helped in the organisation of the day. Dorothy Regan and my Ukrainian friends here who began the idea of today, and those who carried it through with such panache and obviously support from everybody who's come. Something we shall not forget. Thank you, and God be with you.